Okay, so it's time to do an update on my 2018 Toyota Tundra and sort of a full review on it today. I've had this truck for almost 6 years now. In about just under 3 months, I will have had it for 6 years. I just crossed 140,000 miles today. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know I do a lot of towing. Most of this truck's miles have been under load with a travel trailer, anywhere between about 6,000 and 7,200 with the 4 different travel trailers that I've owned. Going across country, and I do long legs. I frequently do 750 to over 1,000 miles a day sometimes towing with this. First thing right off the top, you know, the Tundra and fuel mileage. Everybody hates the Tundra when it comes to fuel mileage. Talk about how poor it is. Even before they switched to the new model, beginning with 2022, this was far and away the poorest fuel economy full-size half-ton out there. I believe my truck is rated at 13 city and 18 highway, but I actually do a little bit better than that when I'm going 60 to 65. Today I actually got, for a relatively short trip, about a little over 25 miles back home, going 60 to 65. I'll show you. I actually got 19.7, and that included idling in my driveway when I got home as I brought in the garbage cans. So I thought that was pretty good. Now, one of the other things that people frequently knock the Tundra for, and I don't know if it's entirely fair. Now, I have a platinum trim, but the pretty pedestrian interior. Now, I don't think the interior is all that bad, and quite honestly, in the platinum here, these leather seats are high quality. You can see this is about the most where I slide in and out right there. That's about where I've got most of the damage on this seat. A few little wrinkles. And again, I'm 200 plus pounds, and I've been in this seat for over 100, well, for just at right now 140,000 miles. Seats have held up great. What I don't like about it is the plastic in it. The plastic scratches real easy. You can look at it a little bit cross, I always say, and it'll scratch on you. But overall, truck's held up really well, and I think the interior actually looks really good. Now, one of the things you can see is mine is, you know, some of the chrome here, I de-chromed it. Some of the chrome there, I de-chromed it. I changed the shifter, did just a couple subtle little things that I think gave the interior of the vehicle a nice overall look. But it was something, hey, people say it looks dated. Well, you add an aftermarket head unit, and all of a sudden, it's not quite as dated as you once thought. Now, the last thing we can really knock this truck for is, as we look at it right down here, is that payload number. And in my 4-wheel drive Platinum, that comes in at 1,185 pounds. That's pretty darn low. And when I've done videos where I've talked about payload. Payload's a little bit of a myth. It's based on gross vehicle weight rating. The manufacturers won't share what goes into that, but overall, this is still a relatively low payload. When I talk about some of the things I like of this vehicle as a half-ton truck, one of the half-tons have gotten really big. One of the things I like about this one is it comes in just under 230 inches. All the newer half-tons are over 230 inches in this crew cab configuration with the short bed. This one still came in just a little bit over that at about 228 inches. The wheelbase here is the exact same as in the new Tundra, the exact same 145 inches and change. However, the turning radius on this truck is fantastic. It allows me to do a lot of things I can't do with other trucks. It allows me to park in parking garages. It allows me to park downtown in New Orleans in some of the parking lots there that I've been to during Mardi Gras. It allows me to park it in Savannah. And one of the other things I've really loved about this truck has been the depth of the bed. It's deeper than any other bed, and what I mean is from here to here, deeper than any other half-ton out there currently. And for me, that's really allowed me to take advantage of that. It's allowed me to travel with my generator in here. It's allowed me to travel with some other things and utilize just a tonneau cover, whereas, for example, in the Ford or the new Tundra, I would have to go ahead and get a soft topper on there if I wanted the same type of functionality. Here, because of the size of that Predator generator and some of the other things I'm carrying, this trifold tonneau works perfectly, and it seals up really nice with the truck and stays dry. Now, in reviewing the bed, one of the things I didn't like about it was that it tended to draft when you went down the road, and it did suck in a lot of snow if it was snowy out. And unfortunately, I don't like to travel where it snows. I grew up there, and I don't like to travel there anymore, but occasionally that's necessary. And same thing when I'm out somewhere in the desert where it's dirty and dusty, this will draft up. And so my most recent mod is I just added a little seal up here and here. I left some openings here, so water can drain and an opening here so water can drain, and I didn't run the seals all the way to the top again so things could drip down. Now my particular Tundra and all the Platinums, including all the 1794s, come with a 38-gallon fuel tank, but what's hard to make out here, what you probably can't see, is that on that cap is that this is a flex fuel vehicle. I have had some issues with that. The flex fuel vehicles have been known to have problems with the fuel pumps. I haven't had to replace a fuel pump. I think it's been more a question of the ECU reading the fuel correctly, and so I think I figured that out. I shot a video on that. Occasionally people do need new fuel pumps on these, but that isn't something I've encountered as of yet. Again, with over 140,000 miles, and like I said, upwards of 85,000 of those miles now are towing miles. So the next question becomes, well, what sort of problems have you had with the motor? Well, none really. I did have an issue with a long start issue. I believe that had to do with the gasoline mixture and the fact that this is a flex fuel vehicle, but I think that's more got to do with the sensor on the fuel pump and proper communication with the ECU, and I've done a video about how I fixed that. But this engine overall has done fantastic, and one of the things about this 5.7 liter, you have to understand it was originally designed by some American engineers who wanted to kind of build the ultimate half ton, and they really built this thing for work. They didn't build it for cranking out a ton of horsepower, and that sounds crazy to say now, but when it originally was built with 381 horsepower, that was kind of off the charts. Now it's not so much in a half ton, especially with turbos being added and superchargers being added to half tons. But this was designed to do work. It was designed to do it efficiently, and it was designed to last for a long time. And by and large, there are very few problems reported with this engine. And that's been my experience. Again, over 80,000 miles towing with it now. I'd have to go back and do the exact calculation, but I do track all my miles, so I do have that number. And when I do my 6-year full review and 150,000 mile review, I'll have that number for you. Anyway, getting back to it. So designed to do well, mated to a 4.30 rear axle. People dismiss that. They say it's not needed with the increased gearing nowadays. But all these things are designed to dissipate heat. And that was the beauty of the engineering at the time of this vehicle. Heat is the number one wear on these components. It's the number one wear on your transmission. It's the number one wear on your engine. Those are going to be the things that determine how long your vehicle lasts. And I can show you my temperatures when I'm towing. When I'm towing, and I've documented this before, rarely do I see numbers above 206 for the transmission. Rarely do I see the engine coolant above 204. And the exhaust temperatures typically run between about, when I'm towing and I'm towing at 65 plus miles per hour, those exhaust temperatures typically run at about 1300 to 1400 Fahrenheit. That's about 650 to 750 Celsius. Typically, when you're looking at turbo engines, you can add a couple hundred degrees to that. And again, temperature is the number one reason for wear. One of the other things I really love about this truck, and what I love about it overall, is it's so darn modifiable. And again, I think that was American engineering that went into that. And the people who were originally designing the second generation said, hey, what do we want in a truck? Well, we know people like to have trucks for different purposes. So we want to make one that's going to make it easy for them to change things about it. And, that can be something, as simple as some of the things I do in terms of adding airbags to it or adding the TRD sway bar. It's also things, as complicated as the people who want to put a supercharger in it. And you go ahead and you can put a supercharger in this, and people have, and they've done real well with it, and get that with a full warranty. People still put it on these anyway. Some people like mine, once they get up above 150,000 and they decide, hey, you know what, I've had it, this thing's already paid for itself, I'm going to go ahead and put a supercharger in it now and have some fun with it for the rest of its life. And you can do that with this truck, and you can do it easily. You can change things out so easily. So what about, the overall reliability of it? Well, I just shot a video where I documented all my expenses with this truck since I've had it, everything outside of what would be considered regular maintenance. And really the only two things I've done to my truck one was the door check on the driver's side had to be repaired, and the other was I changed out all the lugs because I put so many miles on them. My tires my wheels and tires get rotated so frequently that some of the lugs were beginning to come rounded off at the corner, stripped a little bit. So I just changed them all out to new lugs. The total of those two things combined was $100. That's how much extraordinary maintenance I've had in this. $100 over 140,000 miles. So the last thing in my review that I'm going to tell you is that I love the simplicity of this vehicle, but the simplicity of it in terms of the operation. I go out, I start it, it takes regular unleaded fuel. There's nothing complex about maintenance on it. There's nothing complex about taking care of it. And it just keeps going and keeps running at 140,000 miles, just like it did the day I got it. So you may have one, you may be looking at one, but let me know what your long-term experience is if you've had it. And if not, let me know what your short-term experience is or what you anticipate with this vehicle. I hope you enjoyed watching.